to stand, as Holland is currently up a game with his Jeskai aggro deck. No black splash for him either this weekend. So, both these players for their record, 10-3 versus 10-2-1. We see Holland is currently up a game, though Mann has the better board, it appears right now, with a Den Protector, that's a 3-2, and a Death Mist Raptor that may have just come back from the graveyard with his Megamorph deck. For Holland, he's got 5 lands on the battlefield, looks like quite a few lands in hand. And we'll see exactly where these players are at in this game, as it looks like Holland also has a copy of Radiant Flames at the ready. Here is 3 mana, and here is that Radiant Flame. So that's going to clear everything away. The follow-up looks like it's going to be a Jace. And now a Mountain, and a passing of the turn. Mann's picked up a copy of Warden of the First Tree. And as we have seen so many times this weekend, Jace is a card that's difficult for these green-white decks to deal with. However, Nissa, as we have seen so often, be very good in this green-white Megamorph deck, will allow Mann to find a forest, flip it, and now he's got 4 mana to work with.
And I believe Warden of the First Tree is his leftovers?
He does have a Warden in hand. Yes, that was his draw step for the turn. Looks like it's going to be a Windswept Heath. I like Mann leading off with that. You got that cool trick there with your 7th land with Nissa as a fetch land. You play it, it puts a trigger on the stack, and if there's a Wild Slash, all right, well, I'll sacrifice the fetch land. That's a 7th land again, puts a trigger on the stack again, and you can actually dodge a removal spell that way. Den Protector, the reveal to Nissa. And now here comes that Warden. We'll see if Mann will attempt to level up right now or not. And he will not. He will just pass the turn back over to Holland.
I like passing. Wild Slash could easily be in the hand.
You see the hand right now, however, for John. He's got 2 Battlefield Forges, a Mantis Rider, and a Dig Through Time. Battlefield Forge, the discard. Jace is flipping into the Telepath Unbound. And Gideon was the draw. The ability to cast 2 spells, 1 turn right now here for John. Pretty powerful.
And, you know, these plays like Jace and Radiant Flames, they're all well and good. In the long term, they don't mean a whole lot unless Holland's backing it up with some amount of pressure here. So, important for him to go on the offensive.
Well, Mantis Rider's going to go after Nissa. Or at least try to. Search of Righteousness is going to go after that, however. As we mentioned yesterday, if you weren't with us, Search of Righteousness, very popular at the Star City Games dealer booth. Actually ran out of those, and I saw many a player asking for them Saturday morning before the main event began, with the inability to find them. Gideon is here. It'll bring a Knight ally along with it. And that'll be Holland's turn. 2 Planeswalkers out there, and Mann will sacrifice that Windswept Heath. And it looks like Mann, it looks like maybe John forgot the Knight. We'll see. Never mind. Good to go. We know about the forest in hand here for Mann from the Nissa a little bit earlier. But we'll see what else is coming here for Steve in just a moment.
Has a Den Protector, so a lot of flexibility here.
Yeah, we know there's a Death Mist Raptor in the graveyard, too. Megamorph up to its classic shenanigans.
Though Holland threatening to flash back the Radiant Flames.
Yep.
So only so much progress to be made.
The Knight Ally is going to block Warden of the First Tree. Steve looks like he's going to activate it to level 1 to make it into a 3/3.
I think this may have been a bit of a misstep here by Steve. This was targeted by Jace last turn. So all this attack does is force his hand on using 2 mana.
Nissa looks like it's going to tick down. So the 4/4 Elemental will join the fray. And now it's time for a morph. That Forest from earlier. And now Mann will pass the turn back. Over to Holland will go. Shivan Reef dig through time the hand right now. You mentioned the Radiant Flames in the graveyard. There are 3 copies of that down there for Jace to work with. And of course there's an active Gideon out there as well. So plenty of options here for John Holland. We'll see how he wants to start off his turn. It looks like he wants to go the dig through time route, get some more info. So he's going to delve away 6 cards, leave Radiant Flames down there. Take a look at the top 7. And he'll take 2 with him here in just a moment.
I believe Dragon Master outcast among the cards he has found.
That's a potent one.
Quick check in the mana.
Yeah, mana looks good to go. There's a Mystic Monastery out there. Quite a few basics. Shivan Reef, Battlefield Forge. Maybe a touch painful. But it looks like casting all of the spells that he'd like to will not be too difficult. There's Banish Rider. Can finish off Nissa. Looks like Gideon's going to move up. Now here are some attacks.
Yeah, I would imagine this is Mass Rider just finish off the Planeswalker and Gideon as a pretty free attacker on Steve.
Looks like we'll have Den Protector block. Time to unmegamorph. Steve gets the ability here to bring back that Death Mist Raptor. And it looks like he's going to return Den Protector with the Den Protector trigger. Kind of wants to keep this loop going, it appears.
This game is shaping up like it's going to take a very long time. And so with no immediate needs, he's just better off getting back the Den Protector and waiting for a spot where he has more information on exactly what he wants.
Jace's going to go up to 7. It'll slow down Warden a little bit. And now here's the Dragon Master outcast. And as we've seen a couple times this weekend, this card has the ability to take over a game very quickly.
Emerging superstar.
Yeah. Not reprinted on accident. That's for sure.
And it has been the one card that we've seen that has felt like it's stealing games from green-white Megamorph and Bat Megamorph in spots where it looks like the Megamorph deck is favored otherwise. Because there's no creature that has an activated power that's this significant that you can get back with Ojutai's command. So that's been a big part of the puzzle.
Also, it's just so cheap.
Yeah.
Unless you play multiple spells in a turn, too. Or play it and just easily be able to protect it. You know, you would think that given what that card does, it would cost like 6 mana or something.
Yep.
And Mann's going to go after Gideon now. It's going to fall down to 2. And Gideon's ally will bite the dust. The follow-up here is a Gideon of Mann's own. So there's a Night Ally. You can see Steve Mann's hand. Hangerback Walker, Den Protector. No immediate answer right now to that Dragon Master Outcast. And it's threatening to take over real quick. Mann will just pass the turn back. Well, John Holland does not forget that trigger, and I wouldn't want to either. So, the first of what may be many dragons. Holland will draw. Mystic Monastery to go along Shivan Reef. That's the grip right now for John. That said, he might have everything he needs currently on the battlefield.
And, you know, I wouldn't be getting too crazy here if I'm Holland. Just keep working down the Planeswalkers. If Mann's at 19, you're pretty far away from being able to go aggressive on him, but you can wear down the resources. The only long-term concern is what's happening with that ward in the first tree. Mann can make it level 2 in a turn, untap and make it level 3. You need an answer for that.
That's where that Radiant Flames in the Graveyard gets a little bit appealing, but again, there's some bad to that too, obviously.
You know, the Outcast that's a big cost to pay. The Manus Rider, the fact that Steve's leftover is Den Protector, so he can rebuild a lot more easily than you can. This might be a spot where Holland just needs to flash back, dig through time, and just look for more stuff.
I think that's what he's thinking about doing right now. It's an expensive dig, but I think it might just be a necessary dig. He's going to lower the Warden. Mantis Rider going to come in. Going to knock Jace down to 1. An ally token on the way here with Gideon.
And this is the other way that John can try to manage it, with the board gummed up, it requiring all of Steve's mana to go to level 2 and then level 3, and the -2 from Jace. Steve may not be able to attack with this card next turn. And every turn, Holland gets a 5/5, which makes it harder and harder to attack.
Mann with a Den Protector, a Hangerback Walker, and a Mystery card in hand now. Looked like he picked up a copy of Jamoka's command. Right on time.
Yeah. Mann needs to do something with it this turn. He's got to get the Outcast off of the table.
Gideon's going up. It is going to be coming into the red zone here soon enough. Here's a morph. Here comes Death Mist Raptor. It's going to be going after Jace, it appears. Gideon also wants to attack. He's got to figure out exactly what he wants to attack. So once he does, we'll find out where everything is going, as it's a pretty complicated board state here.
And again, the clock becoming an issue in these rounds.
It is.
Even though Steve, with drawing Dramoka's command, I think has put himself ahead in this game, it doesn't look like it's going to be over for a while.
I would be shocked if we saw a third game here, because this game seems like it's got like another 4 or 5 minutes just in front of it.
And that's assuming that Steve just keeps on leveraging his winning position, which may not be the case.
The creatures went to Gideon, so Gideon bites the dust. And another dragon here. So we'll see what's next. Jace is down to 5. It's time to dig through time. Thought we might see that Outcast bite the dust, but Steve is really holding steady with that Jamoka's command.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought that was going to be a window where Steve tried to get the Outcast off the table.
Well, now he's going to go for it. Perhaps he was worried about something.
And, you know, there's a lot of bad things that can happen. You don't want this getting fizzled. But a 5/5 on the house is also a big cost to pay.
This looks like Hangerback Walker is going to go after Dragon Master Outcast. And he'll get a counter as well. So Dragon Master Outcast going to bite the dust. Hangerback Walker gets a little bit bigger. Dromoka's command is done resolving. Now, dig through time is resolving. Draconic Roar in there. Dragonlord Ojutai as well. There's also Thunderbreak region. So a bit of a dragon approach here to what Holland is doing. 4 Thunderbreak regions, a singleton Dragonlord Ojutai, and that Dragon Master Outcast.
And now, because of all of this, Radiant Flames becomes a huge draw. Even any random spot removal spells, he can get the Warden off the table before anything too big happens with it. More critically, he can get that face down Den Protector off the table while Mann does not have enough mana to unmorph it. And if Holland can break up the loop here, suddenly the game is just back to parity. Both players have some stuff in play. It's really that Den Protector loop that's been causing most of the trouble, and if that gets broken up, Holland has a pretty solid position here.
Well, Dig's done resolving. Draconic Roar, Dragonlord Ojutai appear to be the cards that he's taken. Now, keep in mind, Jason's already been used this turn. Haven't seen any attacks just yet. Mantis Rider feeling it. So, looking to finish off Gideon, and now the Dragon's coming in too. So there goes Gideon. It looks like 5 damage going to come across. Pretty cluttered board here for both players. Draconic Roar going to take care of the Warden. That's big. And there's a Dragon on the battlefield. Hey-o.
Combo.
Yeah, Combo Nation.
Combo Nation.
Yep. Now it's time for mana draw.
Steve wanted to make sure that all of his graveyard is laid out, since it all matters for Den Protector.
Yep. Den Protector going to be unmegamorphed. It'll get a counter. Going to get back Den Protector. And in situations like this, it's more about getting on the board, but also I guess, he's just unsure about what he wants to get back at this point.
Well, part of the issue is that he's just dying in the air.
Yeah.
So he can get back Surge of Righteousness, but he's still taking a huge chunk of damage. He can get back something that allows him some shenanigans with Hangerback Walker. He can get back Dromoka's command, fight down a Mantis Rider, break it open, get some Thopters to chump block. But how he's going to manage all the flyers in the long term is pretty challenging. And he's essentially got only one shot left with Den Protector.
Yeah, 2/5/5 Dragon's tough.
It's a lot. Back in my day, that was more than enough.
It only took one. Here come the beatdowns. And this is where, as you mentioned, Surge of Righteousness works its way into things.
But Holland probably has enough resources to manage through one search. You know, he's got a pretty sizable advantage in terms of size on the board. He can, for example, put Mantis Rider in front of the Night Toki. He puts the Dragon in front of, I guess, the Nissa Elemental. And he's not fully ruined by it. The challenging thing for Holland's blocks here is there's some ways that he blocks where Surge of Righteousness is problematic. There's some ways that he blocks where Dromoka's command is problematic. And Mann has full agency over what happens because Holland blocks and then Mann gets back the appropriate spell.
It looks like all of these creatures are going to Jace and not John. That surprised you a little bit?
Not really. I mean, it's hard for him to fight through a removal spell next turn. He can't attack for lethal. He probably can't attack for lethal over 2 turns. So he's got to manage the board a little bit.
I also guess that he can't really allow a card like a Draconic Roar to be cast again.
Exactly.
That's also a concern at this point. We'll see some exchanges in combat here.
And now Mann has the opportunity to tempo attack back to Draboka's command, use hanger back Walker to fight the dragon that was in combat. Gets some Thopters for his trouble, gets one of the dragons off the table, and now he's got a pretty good board position.
Well, you nailed it. Hangback Walker is going to split open. Here come the Thopters.
It's funny how quickly the board went from cluttered to just, I mean, still a little cluttered, but mostly cleaned out.
Mostly clear now. Mostly clear. Hollow draw. You can't forget that John did just resolve a dig through time last turn. So he's got a Dragon Lord Ochitai in hand, I believe. He's still doing okay.
Yeah, and Mann's out. The looping with Den Protector, it's done. He's playing off the top of his deck now.
Looks like there's also a Gideon in that hand. Jeez.
9 mana, 2, 3 white.
It's a pretty good hand.
It's just how aggressive does he want to get with the attack here?
You know, like Mantis Rider's kind of interesting, right? Because like you could attack with it, but then you can triple block and then you lose it. But is that are you fine with making that exchange?
I think with Dragon Lord Ochitai in your hand, if Mann wants to trade off and leave himself totally vulnerable in the air, that's fine. Another thing to keep him, it looks like Mann's just not even running a block here. The other thing is, you know, let's say he triple blocks. Next, you play Dragon Lord Ochitai and Gideon. Next turn, you make a Gideon emblem, and your flyers are lethal. Yep. So that's a fine attack there for Holland.
There's Dragon Lord Ochitai. And now here's Gideon. It's going to bring an ally along with it. The only thing he hasn't done yet this turn is use Jace. Jace is going to slow down. It looks like just a Thopter. Pass the turn back. Mann will draw. But he's in some serious trouble right now. Flying is one of the ways that you get to this deck.
Yeah, putting on pressure, flying, Jace, other planeswalkers. This is a good recipe here from Holland. And Mann's got to do a lot here just to get a draw.
Yeah, he's going after Jace again. Now here's Warden of the first tree. Looks like he's going to put it to level 2 right away. Pass the turn back, threatening level 3 next turn, assuming that there is a next turn. Because a card like Radiant Flames, I believe it sews it up.
Yeah, I mean, you have Radiant Flames plus an emblem.
He's going to take a look at the graveyard there. No Radiant Flames down there, though. Draconic Roar and Dragon Master Outcast.
Nothing wrong with Draconic Roar. That still takes care of the Warden.
Yep. And 3 damage is dealt.
Yep. It sets him up for lethal next turn. The question just for Holland is how aggressive does he want to be on this turn's attacks? Mantis Rider for sure coming in. I think Dragon Lord Ochitai will come in for sure as well because that forces a block. You can't let him trigger it here.
No, not at all.
The question is just whether or not the 5/5 is also going to be attacking.
He's ready to go to the attack step. Well, you got your question answered. All the flyers.
And Mann has to block everything here. He doesn't have to block the Mantis Rider.
Yeah, he can fall to 5. And Jace is going to get cashed in. Draconic Roar will be recast. And John Holland's played a pretty nice game here.
He has done a very nice job managing everything. And this game's gotten complicated.
Yeah, this is, when we walked in this game, it was pretty hairy. It got even more hairy. Board's getting a little bit more clear now, but players have exhausted themselves resource-wise. And this can get complicated if you've never really been in this situation, but I think he's done a pretty nice job.
Yeah. Dragon Master Outcast again. I mean, that was the whole thing here.
Mann's going to untap. He'll draw a card. And we're at time, and that is going to do it. John Holland's going to win this match over Steve Mann, 2-0. Jeskai Agro going to take care of Green White Megamorph. And for Holland, his top 8 dreams are still alive as he moves forward to 11-3. For Mann, it's unclear at 10-3-1 if that's going to get anything done here as far as the top 8 is concerned. I don't think that's going to be good enough. But for him, he's just got to play his next match. If he wins, we'll see what happens.
And top 16 is still valuable for him. It's still a nice chunk of money. It's still 8 Open Series points, so it's not a bad consolation prize. The best thing you can do now is just win and hope for the best.